Notice is hereby given that a meeting of the City Council Committee on Administration and Finance on Thursday, February 9th at 6 p.m. is meeting to discuss $62,084.42, an appropriation to various departments for mid-year personnel adjustments due to increase in minimum wage and other costs. This meeting is being held at City Council Chambers, 93 Washington Street, second floor, and via remote participation in accordance with the Chapter 107 of the Act of 2022. In-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, and the public may also participate, listen, or view this meeting while in progress via the remote participation platform Zoom by clicking on the link in the meeting agenda and using the password 253852 or calling in via telephone 877-853-5257, webinar ID 847-8614-2680. City of Salem City Council Committee on Administration and Finance meeting today to discuss the aforementioned agenda. $62,084.42 appropriation to various departments. Meeting on February 9th, 2023 at 6 p.m. for the purpose of discussing this matter. In attendance from the Committee on Administration and Finance, we have Councilor Hapworth, Councilor Stott and Councilor Merkel, myself, and absent is Councilor Watson-Felt. Also joining us from the city is our Finance Director, Anna Friedman, and Mayor Bob McCarthy. So thank you everybody for being here, the few of you who are here. I had a conversation with our Finance Director earlier, and she really put her finger on the button of why we are holding these meetings. It's really about the transparency, right? This is an opportunity for us to sort of give a little bit more in-depth explanation to what is going on in some of the money matters. Lots of times we get into our full meeting. If we can kind of explain it in 2 minutes or less, then we kind of move forward with it. But sometimes it's a little more complex. And so I think it's good to give the public a chance to sort of hear on the record kind of what's going on, give them a chance to explain so that they're not trying to sort through all the documents like we do. So with that said, we'll get right into it. Anna, can I invite you up to the podium, please? And if you would just sort of give us an overview of the order to start, that'd be great.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Chair. Can folks hear me okay? So this order has several adjustments that we are seeking to make after doing a mid-year review. And just to provide some context for what that means by mid-year review, any community that I've ever worked in, halfway through the year, we're monitoring expenditures monthly, but around January, we typically want to do a deeper dive. And I will run what we call a burn rate for everyone's payroll lines in particular, and also other expenditure lines, where we're looking at how much they're spending during the year and projecting that out for the rest of the year to ensure that all of our lines are going to end in balance. And then if we have departments that are running ahead of schedule based on where they should be during that year, I work with them to identify, is there an issue? Is it just that something incorrect has been charged there that needs to be reallocated somewhere else? Is it related to a contract that's settled, et cetera, et cetera? And so I went through that exercise and through that identified a few areas that need some adjustments this year. And so summary of what is in the order in front of you this evening. We did identify that we had missed a couple minimum wage increases, unfortunately, in the budget this year. So we're looking to remedy that. They happen to be in departments that have been fully staffed. And so they don't have the ability to absorb the minimum wage increases that went into effect on January 1st. And the city does not pay below minimum wage. So we want to fix that. Additionally, the AFSCME union agreement from last year was finalized after the FY23 budget was submitted. So those annualized costs of those adjustments were not part of those budget numbers that were in front of the council in the spring. A number of departments have been able to absorb those costs. And so that's also why we typically wait until later in the year to do those assessments, because sometimes we just have natural turnover and departments can absorb those costs without us needing to come back to council with a request for additional funds. There was some funds that cannot be absorbed because those departments have remained fully staffed. And so we've identified around $6,500 in cost there to cover those contractual agreements. Additionally, the Clerk's office had some additional costs related to the September and November elections for poll workers and overtime. And so this includes a little over $28,000 for those costs. Additionally, there were some adjustments in the city clerk line and also in the city council line for some personnel expenditures that after the budget was finalized, there were some things were revisited and adjusted. And so we just need to make sure that the appropriations are in the right place for that. And additionally, there is some cost to cover transition associated with the turnover in the mayor's office, and also some funding over $16,000 for some retention adjustments at various departments. And I think that Mayor McCarthy has some additional feedback on that as well. But I can speak to that. That was also informed by the regular process that we have for salary surveys, that our HR director is in constant contact with other communities, typically our neighbors or other similarly situated communities. She, especially in this labor market, which is really hard to retain staff, she is monitoring job postings, the MMA website. She's watching other communities' postings. She calls them often to find out what they're paying for all sorts of positions, particularly critical positions. Typically, we're on the low end of that, which is one of the reasons why we actually offer, signing adjustments for folks, because we are looking to make sure we're retaining staff. So that process for the additional adjustments that I just mentioned were informed by that. While she's regularly updating it, we do a comprehensive salary survey update, this time annually, that informs any requests that departments might be making going into the budget for next year. So she's diving in right now and doing all of that as we prepare for the FY24 budget. And we also always compare not just external salary surveys, but we look internally as well, just to make sure that there's proper equity amongst the pay of our similarly situated staff internally in Salem as well. So that is the overview of the funding items. Happy to take any questions, and also want to make sure that if the mayor has any additional feedback that I'm not taking any of his time.
Sure. Thank you very much. Mayor McCarthy, do you want to come up and make your comments before we start questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As Anna stated, the process of the mid-year survey was it started with the previous administration with Mayor Driscoll, now Lieutenant Governor, and it followed through with myself. And obviously, being in the situation where we're trying with a transition that we tried to prepare for, but also we're realizing that the staff had some apprehensions and stuff. These would probably be adjustments that we'd be making in July anyway, but we have money within the budget in order to secure these adjustments now. And we felt that it is important during the transition and the uncertainty of the term of interim mayor and with the election coming, that we felt it was important to make the adjustments now. And so we found all the money internally, and we think that it's important to make these adjustments now as opposed to waiting for July. Because they would be reflected in July anyway in the proposed budget, so we're just going to roll them in now, and we have the funds available to do it. So Anna can talk more about that. She's a whiz with her iPad and making the columns move, but that was the rationale behind them. And it started with before Mayor Driscoll left, and then we had to come in and pick up that ball with regards to that to make sure that the people that we have here understand that during this transition we have the utmost respect for everybody that works for the city, but especially when we looked at these mid-year surveys, it just reflected that we just wanted to make sure that we were able to retain the people we have, because without them, we can't serve the people. So that was the rationale behind that. I'll take any questions if you want, or Anna, whoever.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions from the committee? Councilor Stott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate the mid-year review and the salary check-in. I think that's all very smart, especially in the environment that we're in with staffing. I'm curious, though, was it full, like these numbers actually seem kind of low to me for check-ins. Like, was it, how were employees chosen? Was it department heads? Was it full departments that were reviewed? Should we expect, an additional adjustment come June or the full budget season? Honestly, it seems a little low if that's what we're doing, of trying to keep staff. So I'm wondering how people were
If I
picked.
could real quick, some of the departments, the reason why the number seems low, some of the departments, because there was availability within their budgets in the personnel line item, because of they had an open spot or they didn't fill a spot right away, we were able to make those adjustments within the existing budget. This just reflects the adjustments we couldn't make within existing budgets.
Okay.
So that's the reason why for that. For the most part, they're non-union personnel, department heads for the most part at this point. I mean, obviously, we value all the employees, but the employees that are, running the departments right now, we felt that during the transition, that was the fact that we could roll it out now as opposed to waiting was important. And like I said, most of what you're seeing is adjustments that we couldn't make within their existing line items in their budgets. So, okay.
Any other questions from the committee? Councilor Merkel.
Thank you, Chair McLean. It's just a comment that I appreciate the attention given to seeing that we remain competitive in regards to salaries, whether it be compensating with a bonus or just taking a good hard look at this, because focusing on retaining employees, not only that they should feel valued, but it to your point, keeps the city running smoothly, and it's the right thing to do and make sure that we're valuing our employees. So I appreciate the attention to this. Thank you.
I do appreciate that. And let me just reiterate, we value all our employees, every single one of them. And just in this case, during the transition, we did the survey for the employees in the key management positions to make sure that they were compensated effectively. So because we didn't want them to leave. So, or actually consider leaving, because what happens is, as everyone knows in municipal government, when there is a transition, that's when other municipalities will look over the fence and say, okay, who's out of contract or who's available and what can we do? So we just wanted to make sure that we were able to retain them.
May I ask a follow-up? Okay, thank you. And to that point then, is this something that's standardly done with all our employee positions, to your point? Well, like just in general, taking a look, not just at the top, but the top down. Just curious.
Obviously,
during budget season.
Obviously, during the budget process, we'll evaluate all departments based on the whole right through. These adjustments would have been made come July, and all the rest of the budget adjustments will be made in July. But these ones we felt were important right now.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions? So I'll ask my questions. Don't run away so fast. Don't run away so fast.
I thought you were done. Sorry.
Those were the guest questions.
You have the gavel.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate both of you adding your time to the meeting tonight so we could go over this. I just wanted to, a question just occurred to me relative to the sort of settling of the AFSCME contract, because I know that we saw a few other items last week that were also the result of contract that had been settled, and so we sort of need to square up the numbers. Is there anything that makes the conclusion of those contracts in any way predictable, or is it always going to kind of be a thing where they happen when they happen, and then we make adjustments as we need to?
They kind of happen when they happen, but obviously these are all non-union personnel that the adjustment will make, but there's only right now currently there's only one union still in negotiations. They're like this close. So obviously when we do sign, we try to keep money in the retained earnings and the stabilization to make sure that we can, those are the two accounts, right? Am I getting that right? Salary reserve, thank you. That we have enough money available to, when we make those adjustments and the contract gets signed, a lot of them go retroactive, so that you have to pay the money back into those line items. So we have good money practices that we do that. And currently right now, as I said, there's only one union that's out right now, and they're real close.
Right. Is that the superior officers? Is
Yes.
that right? Yeah. Okay. That's wonderful. Hopefully we won't see the same overages relative to our election costs coming forward this year, but it's an exciting year.
Is the election order in there? Because that's another one that's in there.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's probably the biggest one here.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, then I will entertain a motion on the matter before us. Councilor Hapworth?
Thank you, Chair McLean. I move that we send to the full council a positive recommendation to appropriate $62,084.42 to various departments for mid-year personnel adjustments due to increase in minimum wage and other costs.
Councilor Hapworth moves that we send to the council with a positive recommendation this order to approve $62,084.42 in mid-year adjustments. Do I have a second? Councilor Merkel seconds. All those in favor? I saw 3 hands in favor, 1 more including my own. The matter carries. I'll take another motion. Councilor Merkel moves to adjourn. All those in favor? 4 hands including my own. We are adjourned.